What is the worst arc in My Hero Academia in my personal opinion? That's what I'm gonna talk about today, but it would be more accurate to say my least favorite arc, because I actually really like pretty much every arc in the story. I don't really have any like super intense dislike towards any arc in the story. I know a lot of people kind of do, again, especially with the Provisional Hero License exam, but in my opinion that's actually one of the better arcs we've had. Not in the sense that it's maybe the most hype arc, you know, because personally I don't give a single shit about whether what's hyped or not. I really couldn't care less about that kind of stuff. To me, it's got to do with what's a good arc, you know, what do I enjoy in an arc. And me personally, you know, the whole hype aspect, you know, yeah, sometimes it's cool to have a really hyped up fight and all, you know, I don't think anyone's gonna disagree with that, but that's not really all we're looking for in My Hero Academia, especially not in My Hero Academia, should we say, because My Hero Academia is very different from your typical shonen, not in the sense that it's like a very original theme or anything. That's not really what I mean. What I mean is that they have this very interesting slice of life aspect to it, which differs from certain other anime or manga. I think Naruto is a pretty good example, because Naruto kind of has this as well, but they do it very differently. It's some people who say it's a lot smoother than My Hero Academia's, but My Hero Academia, they kind of like cut to the chase, you know, they just go straight for it. If they want slice of life in the series, you're gonna get slice of life in the series. That's how it works. And I really like that, especially how we had the Culture Festival arc, which was actually one of the best arc we've had in the story. And if you disagree with that, you obviously don't know what My Hero Academia is about. I'm sorry, but it's true. So my least favorite arc, what is it exactly? Well, I would say it's the introduction of the story itself. I think it's the very first arc we had, because it wasn't really the best executed beginning of the story, in my opinion. Wasn't the worst I've ever seen in a story, of course, but as far as My Hero Academia goes, without comparing it to anything else, My Hero Academia's first arc is probably my least favorite, simply because I felt like it was really slow, right? Like it didn't really get right to the point, whereas some of the other arcs we've had, they're really a lot more straightforward like that. And I'm getting that Horikoshi probably wanted to do stuff in a short amount of time, so he didn't really have to do all of that stuff later on. But I do think that also backfired, especially for people like me who didn't like that arc very much, because you have a lot of people being introduced, you know, you don't even know who the hell half of the people are. You're just supposed to remember these people because they're, you know, in Deku's class and whatever. And to me, that was a bit too much at the time. I mean, obviously now as the series has progressed a bit further, having that amount of characters isn't really an issue, but it creates the tendency that obviously some characters will need development later on, and you know they're gonna get it, you're just gonna have to wait for it, instead of having this really gradual introduction and then developing them as they're introduced, kind of like Oda. But you know, I'm not gonna compare it to One Piece, that's a bit unfair. So I think that's probably my main issue with the first arc, and that's why I think it's one of the least favorites of mine, at least. I mean, you may think it's a really good introduction to the story, I just don't think so. Now, one thing with the beginning of the story that I really like, and this is something that I've seen at least some people disagree with, but a lot of people are saying that the fact that he said at the very beginning of the story, you know, the first chapter, the second episode, that this is how he became the world's greatest hero. They're saying it spoiled the story, but I don't really like to see it this way, simply because of the fact that any shonen does this, even if they kind of approach it very differently. Not necessarily in the first chapter, but they do say it typically very early in the story. Just look at fucking Black Clover, just look at Naruto, One Piece. The difference with My Hero Academia is, of course, that he says this is how he became that, whereas some of these other series, they're saying, I want to become this. But essentially it's the same thing, because you know they're gonna achieve this goal. It's a shonen, it's gonna happen. Like, I'm sorry, like if you don't expect that to happen, you really don't know what's coming for you. I'm sorry. Maybe there's gonna be like one shonen out there that doesn't follow this mold, but 90% of them are 100% going to follow this mold exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just lower your expectations and you're fine. If you think this is a spoiler of the story, think again. Nah, that's really all I had to say for this video. I just wanted to sort of give my quick opinions on my least favorite arc and why I think it's not the best, but maybe, you know, it's definitely not like a bad arc. It's just not the best. It is in fact the least favorite in my personal opinion. There's nothing objective about this. All of these are subjective opinions. Very important to understand that. I'd love to know what your least favorite arc is in the comments below. And yeah, as always, if you did, be sure to Detroit smash that like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. This has been Chaotic Plus, and remember everybody, Toga is waifu, Toga is life.